local government authorities here present,
Somebody on the floor, can we have silence, please?
distinguished guests, good afternoon. Way forward and recommendations that we decided on. Initially, there was no certificate, letter of recommendation like approval was given, either conditional or permanent. Now we want to make sure not only the letter, but also you'll be certificated, and that certificate must be displayed in your premises so that anyone who comes in will know that this particular school is being registered to operate in the country. We also want to make sure that individual files for school, which was missing, that would contain all the information about the school, is at the center of registration, so that anytime you come in, you can go into the individual file, you can get a history of the school as it's from inception to where it is at any time. The right also, the ministry also would have the right to withdraw approval, provided that your certificate can be seized, provided that your situation deteriorates to a point where it's not acceptable by the conditions, the laws, and the regulations that are guiding operations of private schools in the country. So we also would have the right to withdraw approval. In terms of situations, we would also reinforce the strict adherence to national curriculum and examination rules, because we found that some schools, as said, would not adhere to the national curriculum. They would come up with their own curriculum to operate in the country. We would also non-acceptance of international schools without international status. Because we went around, we found that there are a lot of international schools. International school in a bedroom, international school in a parlor. Anywhere you go, you find an international school. We want to make sure that there will be change of name from international to a name that is appropriate to the school. There will be annual survey where we would go around, look at the situation in which a school is, whether it's improving, stagnant, or even deteriorating. So that would influence the decision as to allowing the school to continue to operate or to withdraw approval. So you can see that standards must be maintained. Not only that you are certificated, once you are certificated, you have the license to operate anyhow. You must continue to meet the standards for operation. In terms of schools that we visited and that recommendations are given as to either they are licensed to operate, or whether they are given conditional approval, or they are asked to close. If you are given license to operate, means you must maintain the condition, you must maintain the standards. We would continue to monitor to make sure that the standards are maintained. Secondly, for those with conditional approval, there will be a timeline when you should meet the conditions that would allow you to continue to operate. When you have a conditional approval, you will not have the certificate to operate until such a time that you meet the conditions for operations that you'll be given the certificate to operate in the country. Thirdly, those that are asked to close, as said, is technical. If you come up, the conditions are already stated. The reasons why you are closed are stated in the individual school report. Then you need to go meet all those reasons, conditions, come back to the ministry for re-registration. Then the ministry would register you, go send a team to survey the school, look at all the conditions, and then I give you an approval and a license to operate. We have those that are operating multiple either schools or levels. You go to a particular a particular school is given a license, would operate multiple on that license, would operate in Banjul, go to Brikama, go to Serekunda, go to anywhere and operate on that license. So each school should have a separate license, even though it's the same organization that is operating those schools. Each of those schools must have a separate license for operation. So they will be assessed as an individual, and then based on their conditions, they will be given approval. Schools that have multiple levels on one license, like you have a license for ECD, and you are operating on lower basic, upper basic, up to senior secondary. Each of those levels would be assessed as an individual, and meeting the conditions would allow them to operate on that levels. Like no school would operate without the levels being looked at. And the extension that finally the task force would extend its operation to other regions. Like we've started with Region 1, and then you've got the statistics as to the number of schools visited, those that are asked to close, those that are given license to operate, either provisional or permanent. We would extend the services to other regions. From here, we are currently in Region 2, and we'll go to all the regions in the country. And that from there, then there will be what we call continuous monitoring to make sure that schools comply with the conditions for operation. And then finally, if there is any school that after this point operate without going through the legal processes, would be sanctioned and probably prosecuted based on the laws of the country. Thank you very much.
Well, viewers, this is all we have for you in tonight's edition of the Education Forum. Until we come your way next week, I've been your host, Samuel Ba.